Because directors still love the practical side, but now they don't have to rely on it as much. So I've actually built things the same way I would build them 10 years ago, but without any pressure, because they're not the only thing you're going to see on camera. So we're actually grateful for CGI, because now when we have something that doesn't quite work on set, we fix it. It goes into post, we fix it. CGI stands for couldn't get it. So, CG guys are my best friend. I actually make friends with them on set, even if I've never worked with them before, because I know 99% of the time there's going to be something the director wants changed, and he's going to change it in post when I'm not normally there. So I make friends with the CG guys, so I'm still part of the process, because it's really important to not be a team player in any film. You want to be part of the process. So even if I do a makeup, there's a makeup I did for the new Mortal Instruments movie, and it's a guy who's like covered in scars and he's kind of bony, but he has empty eye sockets. So the CG guys were going to empty his eye sockets with computer graphics, but the rest of him is prosthetic. It's what we refer to as a hybrid. It's half CG, half prosthetic. And I think that's the future. A lot of directors now are understanding that the two mediums can be combined instead of using one or the other. Now we can do both.
Questions? You, miss. You.
I got a couple things. One of my favorite bad guy is Pinhead, by the way. Mm-hmm. One of these years, I like to dress up for Halloween at my age, and I give out candy in the costume.
Nice.
So one of my goals is to be Pinhead for Halloween. All right, so I don't have a problem getting the mask and the cape and all that. And the black outfit. That's easy. My issue has always been putting the white makeup on and letting it dry. It takes forever. I've got partly oily skin, I've got large pores. What do I do? What's out there that I can use? Do I blow dry it? What do I do to get that skin to dry off quickly so I can put the makeup on in the morning or in the evening? Or
well, the first thing you got to do is be a prick, apparently. It'll all fall into place, but let's let the expert answer.
Or getting it to stay on. What are your tips for what's out there?
There are a lot of products. Yeah. There are a lot of products out there. The toupee industry has actually been really helpful for us, because when you're sticking something to a guy's head and the guy wants it to stay on all day, and he wants to stop from perspiring, there's actually a product. A few companies make it. Do you live in Toronto?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a few makeups.
My accent where I live?
Okay. Any kind of good makeup store will sell a product called Top Guard, which is like an acrylic acetate. It's basically a sealer for skin that allows you to glue anything to it, and it won't come off when you sweat. Okay. If you overuse it, you can damage your skin. It's not really good to use around eyes, but if you thin it down enough, you can put it on your cheeks and your forehead, and your makeup will last a bit longer. What kind of makeup are you using?
I bought this white, clown makeup.
Yeah.
Put it on with the sponge and everything, and it looks good when you put it on thick enough and everything. It's just it takes forever to dry, and then
it's water-based, right?
Try to put another layer on.
Yeah.
To make my skin look super smooth.
Right.
Because of the pores and everything.
You haven't tried grease paint?
No, not yet. Because again, I got oily skin as it is, so I do lots of.
Grease paint's pretty good. You can get some really nice grease paint. It'll go on pretty opaque, and it won't come off, and you can powder it. Yeah, exactly. So put the grease paint on, you get a nice opaque layer, give it a good powder, and then you can add more color to it. In the old days, I did a Highlander movie many years ago, and all the makeups were grease paint. And now it's kind of weird to paint with grease paint. We use it for touching up on set because it's fast. But now, pretty much all our makeups, we use these guys. It's basically hard. It's like a plastic, and you spray alcohol on it, and it turns into a paint. You can get it quite opaque. You can put this through an airbrush. It's called Skin Illustrator. Between this and transfers, it's like saved a lot of people's jobs, because it stays where you put it. You can wear it all day long. So it's a little harsh sometimes if you use it too much. It's alcohol based, but when it's on, it's on. When you take it off, you wouldn't take it off. You'd have to worry about it coming off during the course of the day. It's really good stuff. Any good makeup store will have it.
And then the last thing is putting the black around the eyes. Like how you used eyeliner.
Mm-hmm.
When you put that with the white, it smudges. What do you?
Well,
I mean, I know I'm basic here.
Everybody's basic, yeah.
That's how
no.
you start.
It's the same thing. Try and get yourself a good, a face powder. So any kind of paint you put on, use a hairdryer, and then powder it, and it will kind of set it in place. The old grease paints were designed with an oil to get it out of the container onto your skin, and then they designed powders to powder and soak up the oil. And that's why it's called setting powder, because it sets the makeup on the skin. Okay, cool.
Any other questions for the man? Yeah.
It might be a two-parter, but what would you consider your favorite work, and what would you consider your best work?
Favorite and best.
Well, I always think your best work is the stuff that nobody really sees. Because you are trying to fool people. You're trying to convince them that what they're watching is real. So if I build something that isn't quite real, people kind of notice it, and I haven't done my job properly. So I've done a couple of things which have completely fooled people, and other things which haven't. So that's probably the answer to that question. My favorite job, you can work on a movie and have a horrible, horrible time, and then you do a makeup and it makes the movie for you. Or you can do movies that you have an incredible time and you hate everything in it. Silent Hill 1 and 2 are good examples of both. So I wasn't really happy with the stuff I did in Silent Hill 1. It was a two-part movie. Patrick Totopoulos was hired originally to do the creatures, and then because it was being shot in Toronto, they said, well, there's a lot of stuff that he's not doing. So they hired me to do that, and then they shipped all Patrick's stuff up to me, and I supervised the whole movie. So it was an incredible time on set. It was great to be in charge of Patrick's stuff, but I thought my stuff was okay. I mean, I did the guy in the bathroom stall, I did him, I did the girl on the bed with a little tent. So it was okay, but it wasn't the show-stealing stuff like the Red Pyramid and all that kind of stuff was really the cool stuff. And then Silent Hill 2 came along, and they said, well, Patrick's out of the picture now, so he's going to do some concept designs for us. And contractually, we have to use him. But you're going to be in charge of everything, so you'll get to rebuild, redesign. I was like, yes. And then I saw the movie. So I loved the stuff I did. I thought we busted our ass. We did some really cool stuff in the movie. But then the writing and the direction just it's kind of lame. But there you go.
I know we have more questions. In the back. Buzzkill.
Buzzkill. Okay, I'm an effects guy. Like, I've never thought of being a director, never considered I'd ever get the chance to. I'm married to a producer, and she's always said, you should direct. Well, why? Well, because then I'd see you more. So she's been trying to convince me to be a director. So anyway, I know a distribution company named Raven Banner, and they've done a lot of low-budget distribution. Anyway, they were in a meeting, and the guy with some investors, and they said, we want to do a low-budget horror movie. And he said, really? I was like, oh, that's great, because we've got a great monster guy who can build some monsters for us. He goes, awesome, what's his name? Paul Jones. Really? Oh, we know Paul. Does Paul want to direct it? I'll ask him. Duh. So yeah, so we have pre-sales with Anchor Bay UK, Anchor Bay Canada, and a company in Germany, a company in Japan. We had a pitch with TMI, and looks like hopefully this year, if everything slots into place, which it tends to not do in the film industry, but yeah, it looks like I'm going to be directing a horror movie called Buzzkill. It's a Nazi lab. Yeah, anybody heard of Frankenstein's Army?
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Those guys got there first. But we've been trying to make Buzzkill. We've had the script for about 10 years. I have maquettes about 8 years old. So our designs are very much like Frankenstein's Army. The difference is ours is a bunch of history students checking out the history of a building that had a bunch of experiments done in World War II. And they uncover stuff that's been kind of kept alive in the basement, and then they all get killed. So it'll be really gory, creatures are going to be cool, and I get my name on the poster, hopefully.
Well, that's a good question. Are you doing the creature effects for this?
Yes, I'm either getting paid to direct or do the creature effects. They've told me pick one. So I'm going to flip a coin.
Any other questions for the man? Right there.
What's your biggest makeup disaster?
Ah, we want the dirt.
You're about to see it.
Outside of this guy here, biggest makeup disaster.
I don't know. I mean, what qualifies as a disaster? I mean, I've done makeups where a director wasn't happy, but the producer was, and the opposite. You know, I tend to be very very practical. I don't design things that I know will be a pain in the ass to work with on set. Like, you can build the most kind of amazing, complicated makeup in the whole world, but you have to shoot it, and it has to work within the confines of the film set. So it's a very rushed, very crazy atmosphere. So if you need 9 hours to do a makeup, they're not going to give you 9 hours. Even if you ask for it and they agree with it, they're never going to give you 9 hours. I've turned out to do makeups that I've said, this will take me an hour and a half. And they said, yeah, no problem. So an hour and a half? Yeah, no problem. On the day, the morning of, I need an hour and a half. Yeah, no problem. 2 hours later, they're like, okay, you got 15 minutes. But I need an hour and a half. We don't have an hour and a half, you've got 15 minutes. So you do your best. But working in the confines of a film set, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So you have to try, and when you bring stuff to set, try and bring it that you can, if you have to compromise or modify it. Because if you can't, and you can't give the producer something, then you kind of screw yourself as well as them. So you have to find stuff that you can modify.
Let's talk about the business a little bit, because I know it's feast or famine sometimes in this business, right? I mean, are you finished Pompeii, or are you still working on it?
Still working.
Okay, so you're still doing Pompeii, which is a big movie, right? But then you'll go and do smaller films, short films. You diversify yourself because you gotta live. So let's talk about the frankness of the business. I think it was Orson Welles said about the film business that it was like 90% hustle and 10% art, and it was no way to make a living. Talk about the living. Would you recommend that people pursue this line of work?
Yeah, that is really tough. I mean, Toronto's kind of a boom right now. We're really busy right now. But 2.5 years ago, I was picking up my phone and checking it was still working, because nobody was making films in Toronto. Toronto's a service town, so we don't so much produce, well, Canada essentially. We have an industry, but it's not that commercial, and it's really just for us. Whereas Americans love us because we're half the price it is to make the movie in the States, so they come up and film all our movies in Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver. The industry being what it is, I would say if you can make a living doing what you love, then great. But I would never stop people from doing makeup effects just because it's a business. I've done okay. My friends have done okay. There's times when we haven't done okay, but we're still here. I love makeup effects. I can't imagine a day going by without me doing some makeup on myself or my kids or somebody at work or sculpting something or painting something. So I've really got no choice, you know, unless the stupid directing thing takes off, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Yeah, be versatile. Don't limit yourself to one thing. Like I started out in England, and I started off as a painter. I was painting corpses. I'd originally done makeup as a hobby, and then all of a sudden, we did this movie called Nightbreed, and it was like there was all these mechanical creatures in it. So one weekend I went home and I made a little mechanical puppet. It's about a head about this big, and it had eyebrows, it had an eye blink, it had I'd never done any of this before, but I'd seen the guys around me kind of do it. So I borrowed some materials, went home, made it, brought it back in on the Monday, and Bob was like, "You made this? When? This weekend?" "I didn't know you did animatronics." "Well, I don't. I've never done it before." "Okay, I'm going to give you the Berserkers," which were these huge kind of hulking ape-like creatures, and I'm like, "But I don't know what I'm doing." He goes, "Oh, you'll figure it out." And that was what it was like. So next thing you know, I did nothing but animatronics for 4 bloody years. And I was like, "But I can sculpt better than all these guys." And he goes, "Oh, you do really good mechs. We're going to get you to do mechs." But it's really helped me, because since I came to Canada, any script that I get sent, I'm not limited to, well, I don't really do animatronics, or I don't really do dead bodies. I do everything from a nose to a dinosaur. That's how I describe it, you know. So yeah, be versatile, fine art, create these things and sell them to collectors. You know, you can survive pretty well if you're clever and you multitask.